down. I need everybody to stand up. Everybody stand up. We got a couple of things very important I want to do here. So as you heard from Gene, we've got this big unveiling of our history at All Nations Church. And you are part of that history. It's a living history that's still part of things today. So first of all, I want to do is add you to our history. And I'm going to take a picture of all you beautiful faces. You guys are looking good. We're going to do a panorama here, so just give me a second. Panorama, we're going to start over here. All right, give me your best smile. Here goes. And we're going, don't move. Everybody, don't move. All right, here goes. We're going. It's going to work. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Good job, everybody. So now, stay standing. Don't stop yet. I know, you guys, we got old legs here in this place, right? But first of all, before we sit, I want to start with our service. This is a way we want to remember this every time. I'm going to say something, you're going to repeat back to me. It goes like this: God is good. And what are you going to say back? All the time. All right, wait. Whoa. Let's try it again properly. Are we ready? God is good. Good job. Excellent. And the last thing. And I'm going to make you do this for the next month, okay? All right, are we ready? We're going to say this together. Are you ready? I will not wear scented products to church. There you go. You did it. Please be seated. Now, maybe if you're new and you're visiting, you're like, what is that all about? You know, well, we've got some people here that are very allergic to scented products to the point where they could go to the hospital. So that's how serious it is. And we want to just make a note of that. So we could have a disclaimer of what that is. I think we can figure out what scented products are, right? Cologne, perfume, hair product that's really smelly, those kind of things. We just want to make sure we're not doing that when we come to church. Not because we don't want people to smell good, but we want to be cautious for those around us. So, well, we had a really great week this week, friends. We had our youth program. They started off one of their kickoff times. They went on called the Amazing Race. So we had a bunch of kids part of that. I want to thank the volunteers that were part of that. Great job. We also had our final barbecue mission this last week for the summer. And let's put those pictures up here. So here's some of the pictures of the gang here. There's some of the volunteers that are right there. What's the next picture? There's a big crowd. It went way down there. They kept coming for burgers. Excellent burgers. And I just want to point out, Jerry, thanks again. I know Jerry's here with us today for giving leadership for that area. And so I appreciate that. So good job, everybody. Excellent. Well, you know, as we get started today, we are starting into a new series called 7 Weeks of Wisdom. All right, now I think it's an appropriate way to start, especially with our history, our story presentation that we have out in the foyer today, hearing from Gene, and all of the things that we've been involved in over the years. I think it's appropriate that we start this series this time of the year, 7 years of wisdom. But I want to tell you a story in order to set up the context for us. I'm going to tell you about one of the most foolish and dumb things I've ever done in my entire life, all right? Now, I know you're thinking to yourself, well, how could that big, bald, beautiful man up there do something foolish? And I'm telling you, friends, it was on my honeymoon that it happened. Don't let your mind go where I think it wants to go, okay? But it was one of the more foolish things I've ever done. So on our honeymoon, we went to Jamaica. Has anybody been to Jamaica? Yeah, you see a bunch of us. Yeah, beautiful place. We love Jamaica. It was excellent. I put a picture up here. We were in a place called Negril, absolutely stunning place. And we were at this, but you know, Jamaica is a third world country, a developing nation. And so there's a lot of aspects, while there's a lot of opulence there, especially with tourism, there's a lot of poverty there too as well. And there's also a lot of hustle and grift. You know what I mean? Like everybody's trying to sell you something or trying to get an edge up on you, right? When you go to Jamaica. So anyways, we were at this all-inclusive resort, me and my wife. And, you know, my wife has nothing to do with this, all right? She was just a partner with what happened. But we decided one time, I thought, you know what, I want to rent a dirt bike because I want to go out and see Jamaica. I want to go on an excursion. It'll be super fun. Now, as we went to Jamaica, they told us, do not leave the resort. It is dangerous and there can be places that are very dangerous. But, you know, I knew better, of course. And so I decided I'm going to go on this excursion. We rented a motorbike. And we find this guy that's going to take us to the place called the Blue Lagoon. Now, do you remember the movie The Blue Lagoon? Some of you might remember it from way back ago. If you're young, it's this movie that was really seminal. A lot of people knew about this movie. But it was filmed at this place in Jamaica, and this water is literally like blue milk. It looks like blue milk. And so we went to this place, and so we go to this excursion. Now, as we were about to go, I was negotiating with the guy about how much it was going to cost, right? Because all these excursions cost money. So I was negotiating with the guy, and I thought, okay, that's a reasonable amount of money to go for him to take us to this excursion. So we went to this excursion. He took us out to this place, this Blue Lagoon. It was really neat. There's like this cave, and there's people playing music in this cave, and we're going on these just fun adventures in this little area. Well, at the end of this excursion, and as we're about to go back, he kind of comes up and he wants to settle up. But when he wanted to settle up, his price quadrupled at that moment. So, anyways, I started arguing with him. And I was like, well, I'm not going to pay this. We'd agree that you're going to pay this amount of money. And as I'm arguing with him, people in the community started crowding in upon us. And I'm looking around, and I'm seeing a lot of people start walking in towards us as I'm talking to this guy about not paying him this money, friends. So I had two things that immediately came to my mind as these people were walking in. And I'm getting scared. I'm terrified. And I'm with my new wife. And the first thing I thought was, well, I probably can outrun her. And then the second thing I thought was this, okay, it's only money. Anyways, I basically emptied my wallet of all of the travel money that we had left in order to get out of there. And we took off. Friends, that was one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life. I put myself, my wife, my brand new wife, in danger in that moment. Foolish, right? Gave them everything I had that I had in my pocket at the time. So, I learned from that experience that, obviously I need to be cautious when I'm going traveling, especially when there's like advisory saying, don't go out on excursions, right? Don't find yourself in that situation again. And I learned that I won't do that again, right? But wouldn't you agree with me that I could have probably avoided those poor consequences had I not applied a bit of wisdom to the situation? That situation could have gone a lot worse, right? We could have been harmed in a very severe way of what was unveiling in this environment that was there, right? Had I applied a little bit of wisdom, though, I might not have gotten myself into that whole situation in the first place. And that's what we're going to be talking about, friends, today, is wisdom. Why it's important to have for our lives. How it's a guiding light for us in making our decisions and what we do are guiding in our lives. So in looking about what is wisdom then, and what the definition is for it as we examine this in the light of our decision-making process, but also in the light of what maybe the Bible has to say. And this is the definition of what wisdom is. And it says this: it's the soundness of an action or decision with regard to the application of experience, knowledge, and good judgment. I'm going to say it again. The soundness of an action or decision with regard to the application of experience, of knowledge, and good judgment. So wisdom isn't just about knowing stuff. Knowledge is about knowing facts, right? Wisdom is about applying those facts to your life. That's what wisdom is. So why is it that we need wisdom in our lives? And I wanted to read you some quotes that I looked up as I was thinking about this topic from a multitude of sources. Some of them were Forbes, Bloomberg. General thoughts about what wisdom is and how important it is that aren't just of a religious perspective on wisdom, but that seem to come from a perspective that incorporates every different walk of life. And this is what they said about wisdom. There are plenty of reasons to need wisdom. And the first reasons are happiness and fulfillment. When you make wise decisions, you keep your immediate needs in mind, along with holding long-term perspectives. This is the key to making choices that bring you joy. That was from Forbes. Here's another quote. Wisdom helps a person to reach his goals in a quick and unhurried manner, meaning that wisdom in dealing with matters leads a person to reach their goals in short times with less effort. Here's another quote. Wisdom works to build a person's personality in the way everyone hopes for them, as wisdom cultivates good qualities. Ian Davidson, one of our elders, when I told him I was talking about this, he had this thought about wisdom. And he found this in the Bible. It was in Proverbs 16:16. It is better, much better, to have wisdom and knowledge than gold and silver. I want to see that again. It is better, much better, to have wisdom and knowledge than gold and silver. And you're thinking to yourself, well, that doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem to make sense to be smart and starving, right? But we often think of money as a pathway to a better life at times. And if only I had a bit more money, I could have more things, and more things would make me more happy. And this passage and this wisdom that Ian shared with me seems to fly in the face of that, doesn't it? Because wisdom itself is the currency to a better life, not currency itself. Wisdom is what is going to get you what you truly are looking for in your life. What you might mistakenly think that only having more stuff might get you. That makes sense? I'm going to say that again. Wisdom is what is going to get you what you truly are looking for in your life. What you might mistakenly think that only having more stuff might get you. So it's important. It's important having wisdom. Here's what the Bible says about wisdom and what it can bring you. And this is in Proverbs 4:6-8. It says this: don't turn your back on wisdom, for she will protect you. Love her, and she will guard you. Getting wisdom is the wisest thing you can do. And whatever else you do, develop good judgment. If you prize wisdom, she will make you great. Embrace her, and she will honor you. It's interesting there that, I just had a brief moment of clarity here. The author of that proverb, notice how he puts this female metaphor to wisdom. Man, isn't it true that our women are a lot smarter than we are, right? I thought you'd like that, ladies. Anyways, wisdom. Here, what does it say in that passage? First of all, it will protect and it's going to guard you. It's going to protect and guard you. Well, what's it guarding against? When you think about that, what does wisdom guard against? Making bad choices that give you bad consequences for your life. That's what wisdom does for your life. What else does it say in that passage? Wisdom can make you great. How does wisdom make me great? Well, by providing positive consequences when applying it to your decisions and circumstances. And applying wisdom, you're going to become great because those decisions you've made based on wisdom are going to create for you better circumstances. Why? Because you're able to utilize wisdom for the betterment of yourself and for those around you. That's how it makes you great. And the third thing that wisdom is going to do, it's going to honor you. That's what that passage says. So what does that mean, Sean? What does honor you mean when it comes to wisdom? Well, honor means to retreat and give somebody respect. I want to ask you a question right now. Can you think of somebody that really is wise? Something you really respect? Don't say Yoda, because he's not a real. But somebody real. Yeah, Gene Mahood. Okay, that's great. Yeah. Wise, right? Somebody that we treat respect. Do you respect them? Yes, you do. Yeah. Who? Who did you say? My father. Your father. Oh, that was good. You're gonna take her for ice cream after, right? Yeah. So we respect people because they're wise, right? You admire them. We admire them. See, that's what wisdom gives a person, right? Because when it's applied, it highlights our respect for someone who has carved out this joyful and purposeful life for themselves. Something that I think everybody wants for themselves, right? We look at a person, we respect that person because they made great decisions. I want that for my life. I honor them, I respect them. That's what wisdom does for us when we apply it to our lives. See, friends, I want to put this quote up here because I was thinking about this. No one has ever been foolish in applying wisdom to a decision. You can take that with you, friends. No one has ever been foolish applying wisdom to any decision. And there is not a single aspect of your life and your decision-making life and process that you can't apply wisdom to. So how? How do we find wisdom? If it's so important for our lives and giving us the best outcome for our lives, how do I find it? And I think there's three ways we can find wisdom. First of all is this. We find wisdom through experience, right? Just like my experience in Jamaica, right? How I learned really the hard way that I can be taken advantage of, right? So I sort of equate this idea that we can learn it by experience by sort of testing things out through the empirical method. Are you familiar? We're familiar with the empirical method, right? We test things, make observations, scientific method by which we make observations and proclamations about certain things, right? I'm thinking about wisdom and experience, think of it somewhat the same way. And kids really showcase this, don't they, right? Is Wayne here today? Arcan, did I see Wayne? Yeah, hey, Wayne. I'm going to point you out, Wayne, today because we're friends, and so I won't get in trouble, right? But if Wayne was my kid, and I said to Wayne right now, I said, Wayne, don't touch the hot stove, Wayne. You're going to get burnt. You're going to burn your hand. And Wayne here is thinking to himself, well, why can't I touch the hot stove, right? How many kids that have done that in their lives? Right? Everybody, yeah, oh yeah, grandson, yeah, there we go, right? Our kids, my kids certainly did too, right? Wayne, don't touch the hot stove. Wayne's thinking, I'm going to touch, what's the problem? There's no problem with touching the hot stove, So Wayne goes and touches the hot stove, right? Because he wants to test by experience whether or not my statement was true. He's going to get burnt. He's going to get hurt, right? So by experience, he's trying to find some wisdom for his life. So that's one way that we can find some wisdom for ourselves, right? But I think it's actually somewhat flawed a little bit, isn't it? That if that was the only way we could find experience or find wisdom for ourselves in our lives, it's flawed. Why? Why would it be flawed? It fails us because in experiencing everything to find wisdom, we could set ourselves on dark paths that are difficult to return from. For example, I don't need to do hard drugs to know it's probably not a good life solution for myself. I'm probably going to get into trouble if I do hard drugs. If all I would rely on was experience and testing everything, it might lead me to a place where I can't actually get out of that bad decision that I had made for myself. And there's a strong possibility I'd experience severe consequences. So finding wisdom by experiencing everything all the time, testing everything all the time, isn't the path forward for us for finding a good life, a purposeful life. Or maybe you're even thinking to yourself right now, well, Sean, I don't even know about the Bible if it's true, right? And I'm going to test this whole theory out in the afterlife to see if actually what you're saying is true, right? Well, how are you going to do that? You're dead, right? You can't experience something like that, right? To make a wisdom or a choice based on that. So experience alone and testing alone isn't the best path towards wisdom. Neither is age alone the best path towards wisdom. Experience. It doesn't make us wise. We could be 100 years old and be foolish. It's only achieved when we apply knowledge to our decisions and our practices. You can be old and foolish. So that was one place that we could find wisdom. Another place we could find wisdom, it's a little bit better than that one, is this. We look to experts to give us wisdom, knowledge, so we can apply those decision-making process for the betterment of ourselves. So, for example, when a person develops a certain set of skills and knowledge in an area, we look towards their expertise to guide us in certain decisions. When I go to a doctor, or maybe I need surgery, I'm not going to go to a cake maker in order to get surgery, right? I'm going to look for somebody that has the knowledge and experience to be able to help heal whatever it is that's wrong in my body. I'm going to go to a doctor to do that. So we look to experts in order to give us the right wisdom for making decisions in our lives. But even that method of finding wisdom for our lives isn't infallible either, right? I want you to think about this for a moment right now, because it affects every one of us here in this place. We have experts guiding our finances right now. I would say extremely qualified, have been to school for a lot of years, have a lot of experience in their lives. Certainly far more knowledgeable about all of that than I ever could be. I want to suggest that the most knowledgeable people in the world right now are in our Canadian government providing insight to our nation's finances. So let me ask you this. were the experts, the ones that had the education, the experience to be this, were they correct when they said that inflation is temporary? How long ago did they say that? What was that, like a year ago? 2 years ago? I'm not trying to, throw darkness on all of that stuff, other than just to point out a point, right? That sometimes just, our experts can come up short at times when it comes to following their complete advice on making decisions for our lives and gaining wisdom. I think also at times when we think about that, when we look to our experts to give us advice for wisdom, at times there's a temptation for those experts to believe they are experts in every area of our life. I think we all know a bit of people like that, right? We've all kind of run into people like that sometimes. I'll give you an example, right? You're an expert brain surgeon. Well, that probably doesn't make you qualified to speak as an expert on money management or like sidewalk repair, right? But you are an expert. So where do we look to then if we're looking for wisdom to find happiness? To ask the question, why do I exist? Or what does it mean to live? I think we're going to fall short if we're only looking at these experts to find that wisdom. And I think the best place for us to find that advice, those answers for us about those big questions that all of us come to grip with at times in our lives, every single person on this planet, I think the best place for finding those answers is by seeking God in the Bible. Now, why would I say that? Why would I come to that conclusion, right? I think the best places to find that wisdom is the Bible because wisdom is from God, our Creator, the highest good, the most just, the most merciful, the most omniscient. Omniscient means all-knowing, right? He's going to know everything. The most powerful. So, of course, it makes sense to find our guidance for wisdom for our lives and our decision-making life and decisions in the Bible because that's where the most amount of expertise is in that. Why am I here? Is there more to life than this? See, the Bible provides answers to those very basic questions about wisdom and how we make choices that reinforce the joy and the fulfillment of life that we talked about earlier, what wisdom is and what it can do. So then how? John, if I'm going to follow what you're saying right now and believe what you're saying, well, then how do I find this wisdom from God and apply that to my life? Well, first of all, friends, it's 4 things, I think, that can help us to find that wisdom for our lives. Our first thing is this: we need to desire it. You got to want to have wisdom in order to gain wisdom, right? And I think we've been leading up to this point and saying wisdom is important. Not only is it important from a secular worldview of gaining that, be able to follow in life, but it's also from a Christian worldview, how important it is to have in our lives. So first thing is, you got to be convinced in your mind, yeah, I need to have wisdom. And I got to apply that wisdom to my choices. In desiring it, wisdom is this divine gift from God that is granted by God whenever somebody asks for it. So ask yourself today, do you want a better life? Do you want to find purpose? Do you want to prosper? That's what it says wisdom does for you. Here's what the Bible promises that wisdom is going to do for you. And this is a promise about wisdom. And it says this in Proverbs 19:8. The one who gets wisdom loves life. The one who cherishes understanding will soon prosper. There's a passage there that says, hey, if you apply wisdom to your decision-making process, you're going to be prosperous. I'm not going to talk just about money, friends. I'm just talking about life in general. God wants to prosper you. And how's he going to do that? By you wanting to have wisdom in your life, making better choices for your life. That's the promise of wisdom. So you've got to want that for your life in order for you to take the first step in applying it to your life. Instead of desiring immediate pleasure for your life, desire the perspective to see what you really want over your whole life. That's the second thing, I think, in how we find wisdom from God and from the Bible is this: we're meant to fear God. Now, maybe some of you here in this place haven't heard that term before, fear God. That doesn't sound like something I want to do. Maybe you watch horror movies, you're like, I'm afraid, I don't want to be fearing God my whole life. That's not something I want to do for my life. But friends, when we think about that term fear God, it's not meant to be a scared place, but it's the idea that we respect God. It's not about terror. It's the idea of respect. When we fear God, when we respect our Creator, and we acknowledge and the need for a relationship with Him, it gives us wisdom. We are acknowledging that God is the place where I can find the highest and the best wisdom for my life. That's what it means to fear God. I'm going to find and respect God because He's going to give me the highest amount of wisdom for my life and help me make my choices. Here's what it says in Proverbs 9:10, and as another promise, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. When we fear God, when we respect God and His place as being omniscient, all-knowing, all-powerful, that's the second step to be able to finding and applying wisdom to our lives. The third thing is this: how do I find wisdom from God? We pray for it. Here's what it says in the Bible, and this is in James 1:5. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. That's a promise. God's going to give you wisdom if you ask for it. You pray. You say, God, I need wisdom in this decision that I'm making right now. I want to make the right choice, that I might be prosperous, just like you promised. I want to make the right choice, that I might be happy, find a betterment for my life in this decision I'm making. God, help me to have wisdom. And God's going to answer it. That's what He promises. Fourth thing is this: and how do we find wisdom and apply it to our lives? We search out wisdom in the Word. We search out wisdom in the Bible. I want to give you two passages that I just came up, and I literally flipped through the book of Proverbs. As I said before, we were talking about wisdom, and we're really focusing our attention on two books in the Bible, Ecclesiastes and Proverbs. If you don't have a Bible, we've got a Bible for free for you. It's in the foyer, and we would love to give that to you. If you do have a Bible and you haven't dusted it off for a little while, Proverbs is in the middle of the book. And literally, as I was getting ready for this, I looked at Proverbs, and I just thought, I'm going to pick two right then. I wrote them down to see if my theory about Proverbs is correct. And here's what I picked. Proverbs 10:4, it says this: a slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. Right? So what's that saying, right? I just literally flipped through it. I flipped through the Bible to find this passage that I could apply wisdom to my life. What is that Bible passage saying? A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. I got to work for a living, right? I can't just lie around and just hope money is going to drop from the sky, right, to take care of things. That's what the Bible is telling me that. That's the wisdom that I need to apply to my life so that I can have a better life for myself, prosper myself. Here's another one that I just flipped through, and it says Proverbs 13:11. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. I want to read that again. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. How many here want to get 20% on their investments that they might have, right? How many of here, potentially, you don't have to put your hand up because I know that I've got suckered into this myself, said, hey, had somebody come to you and say, you know what, if you invest in this thing, you're going to get 30% return. Yeah. Have you heard that before? Yeah. Even if you didn't invest, I know you've heard that before, right? The amount of times that actually takes place, the more often is you're going to lose everything that you had invested, right? And that's I've just seen that by experience and knowledge. But what the Bible is saying here, 2,000 years ago, is saying you're never going to get rich quick. And so don't make decisions thinking that that's going to happen. Make the decision based on this proverb, 13:11, wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. Make the decision that's going to help you to increase whatever the investment is for that, right? That's just two passages, friends, that I've picked out of the Bible in Proverbs that help me to make better decisions for wisdom for my life. To do what? Prosper me. Happiness, joy, purpose. See, the Bible, in my conclusion, friends, after thinking about these, how do we find wisdom? Where do we find it? The Bible really is the only place that we could find wisdom for our lives, for the long term, to answer the deepest questions of our hearts in our lives, in our souls. The interesting thing about the Bible, too, is I think it gives you two choices. Only two paths to decision-making there in the Bible: foolishness and wisdom. And it says that repeatedly in the Bible. You have two choices for your life: foolishness or wisdom. So the question I want to leave with us today is this, and I want to ask the worship team to come back. We're going to start preparing for communion. I'm watching the clock as well, and we want to also get us into the foyer because we've got a lot of stuff going on still. But I want to ask and leave us with this question, right? With the freedom that God has granted us, all of us, you, which path or decision are you going to choose? You have the freedom. You can choose foolish choices and decisions that could create bad consequences for your life, or choose decisions, wisdom, that can lead you to a better path in your life. See, I think, friends, the choice of the path of wisdom, it's going to give us the best possible outcome for joy, for fulfillment, a soul at peace, more satisfaction, less conflict in our lives. So maybe you're thinking to yourself right now, well, Sean, I actually did make a decision recently and I was foolish. And what am I supposed to do now, right? So you know what the great thing about wisdom is and making choices like that? Is that you're not bound by that foolish decision to keep making foolish decisions. You can apply wisdom to the consequences of the foolish decision you made, right? Start making the path a bit better for yourself. Even though you may be living in consequences of making a foolish choice, you can still apply the next choices to be wise in your decision making. That's good news, friends. That's good news. Friends, I want all of us right now just to imagine what your life, what your future might look like if you were to apply wise choices to your, wisdom to your choices and your decisions. Friends, you can trust in wisdom that you apply it from the Bible, that's found in the Bible, will produce positive results. That is a promise from God. The thing in concluding to just this idea of the foolishness, choice of that or wisdom, I want to ask all of this too, is to consider this. What do you got to lose? Right? What do you got to lose? I want to requote what I said earlier. No one has ever been foolish in applying wisdom to a decision. No one has ever been foolish in applying wisdom to a decision. And I promise you that in applying wisdom into your life, you will create for yourself a pathway to purpose, joy, peace, prosperity, happiness. But it's your choice. So choose wisdom. And I want you to walk away with something. And there's a practical challenge I have for you, because I don't want you to leave this place still saying to yourself, well, Sean, I still don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do? How do I find wisdom? I've printed out this. It says September Proverbs Challenge. As you leave this building today, it's a little piece of paper. We've got ushers out there that are going to give this to you. And this is what I want you to do. And I want to hear about the results of this after, friends. You take this piece of paper, and on Proverbs, on tomorrow, the 12th, September the 12th, I want you to go to the Bible. I want you to find Proverbs 12, just like the date that you're on. And I want you to pick one verse out of Proverbs 12 and see how you might think about those thoughts and how you might apply that to your life. Let me give you an example of what I did in preparing this for you. I turned to Proverbs 12, and as I was looking at it, I looked at verse 16, and it just popped out to me. And this is what it says. When a fool is annoyed, he quickly lets it be known. Smart people will ignore an insult. You think about that for a minute. That's just boom, right? Pick that out. Can I apply that to my life? That I might make better choices in my life or create an environment for better things to happen? I sure could. Don't get so quick to be insulted, right? Because in a conversation, you're looking for a better path forward, right? Not stopping the conversation by getting insulted. I think that's practical news. That's what I want you to do, friends. For every day, find a verse out of the Proverbs, apply it to your life. Think about it, see how you might apply it. So, friends, as we conclude, let's journey together continually here in this wisdom series for the next 7 weeks. And as we apply this wisdom, I know you're going to find positive results for your life, and it will be profound. I'm going to ask Brad to come as he's leading us in communion. And the thing that I think is the first choice to wisdom is this: fear God, respect God. Brad's going to tell us a little bit what that means as we go into communion.